Slow going, but steadily getting there. US President Donald Trump says there has been some very positive correspondence with North Korea. He raises hope the two sides could sit down soon for nuclear talks. A showdown in Switzerland over Tokyo's trade curbs on Seoul. South Korea and Japan will lay out their cases to global delegates at the WTO's HQ in Geneva. Plus, US National Security Advisor John Bolton is due in South Korea. Seoul's trade fight with Japan and alliance-related issues are expected to dominate his discussions. We start in Washington this morning. President Trump has revealed the US recently had very positive correspondence with North Korea, adding that both sides are seeking to restart nuclear talks. Trump's top diplomat has also expressed hope the regime will take a different approach when they finally sit down again. Hyo-seong starts us off.
Speaking to reporters at the White House on Monday, President Trump said his administration recently had positive correspondence with the North Koreans as they continue to work toward resuming talks on denuclearization.
No, we just have a very good relationship, and probably they would like to meet, and we'll see what happens. There was a little correspondence recently, very positive correspondence with North Korea. Again, there's no nuclear testing, there's no missile testing, there's no nothing. When they're ready, we'll be ready.
With Pyongyang and Washington deadlocked over the stalled nuclear talks, the leaders expressed a willingness to resume talks in the near future during last month's historic meeting at the DMZ. However, North Korea warned last week that if the U.S. broke a pledge not to hold a military exercise with South Korea, the talks could be at risk. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo rejected the notion that military drills will breach any agreement between the two leaders. Seoul has also stated the military exercise will go ahead as planned next month. Pompeo said Monday that he hopes Pyongyang takes a different position when they resume nuclear talks. While he didn't elaborate on what that may be, he said the task is simple, considering North Korean leader Kim Jong-un already committed to denuclearize during his first summit with President Trump in June 2018. Hyo-seong, Arirang News.
Now, President Trump's top national security aide is due in Seoul in the coming days. John Bolton's trip is expected to give South Korea a clearer picture on where the US stands on the security-related issues shared by the allies. This includes whether the US is ready to step in to end the trade tussle between its closest allies in Northeast Asia. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
South Korea's defense ministry confirmed on Monday U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton will pay a visit to the ministry this Wednesday and hold a face-to-face with South Korean Defense Minister Chung Kyung-do. The ministry said the two sides are expected to discuss a range of security-related issues centered on achieving denuclearization on the Korean peninsula, as well as the two countries' military measures to support diplomatic efforts aimed at the complete denuclearization of North Korea. The ministry refrained from commenting further, but it's widely speculated the two sides will discuss Seoul's stance in maintaining the General Security of Military Information Agreement, a bilateral military information sharing pact between Seoul and Tokyo, as well as the possibility of South Korea's participation in a U.S.-led coalition to promote the freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, amid escalating tensions between Washington and Tehran. During his visit to Japan on Monday, Bolton reportedly held talks with Shotaro Yatsushi, who heads the Secretariat of Japan's National Security Council of the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Taro Kono, and Defense Minister Takeshi Iwaya. Japan-based Kyodo News reported the two sides talked about the trade spat between South Korea and Japan following Tokyo's strengthened chip materials export restrictions to Seoul, and on issues regarding the compensation of Japan's wartime forced labor. It's also believed the U.S. has talked about Japan's participation in the U.S.-led coalition in the Persian Gulf. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, one of the World Trade Organization's highest decision-making bodies is set to discuss Japan's export restrictions on Seoul upon the request of the South Korean government. Our Kim Hyo-seong has more on a meeting that could get rather fiery as the two sides argue their positions.
Amid heightening trade tensions between South Korea and Japan, the WTO General Council is set to discuss Tokyo's trade curbs on Seoul. South Korea's Trade Ministry says its Deputy Minister for Multilateral and Legal Affairs, Kim Sung-ho, will attend the meeting that will take place in Geneva on Tuesday. The showdown will begin at 10 a.m. local time, which is 5 p.m. Korea time. While council meetings are usually attended by ambassadors, Seoul has decided to send Kim, an international trade expert, due to the seriousness of the issue. Arriving in Geneva on Monday evening, Kim expressed hope that the Japanese government would take prudent steps. He also stressed he will sternly refute Tokyo's stance at the meeting. Participated by representatives of 164 countries, it functions as the WTO's top decision-making body, aside from the ministerial-level conference that's held every 2 years. Seoul plans to emphasize that Tokyo's trade restrictions go against the WTO's free trade principles, urging the immediate withdrawal of the measures. It also aims to win other countries' support so it can heighten pressure on Tokyo. Japan has also threatened to remove South Korea from its whitelist of trade partners with minimum restrictions. It remains to be seen how the international community will react to the remarks made by Seoul and Tokyo during what promises to be a tense meeting in the normally sleepy Swiss city. Kim Hyo-seong, Arirang News.
Foolish and hopeless. That is how Bloomberg is describing Japan's actions against South Korea. In an editorial, it said Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is abusing trade policy by using it to resolve a political dispute. It said Tokyo is clearly retaliating against South Korea for its top court rulings, ordering Japanese firms to compensate the Korean victims of wartime forced labor. Bloomberg added that through the export curbs, Japanese suppliers will lose market share as well as their reputation for reliability, and that Tokyo should first make the first move in lifting the export controls. And President Moon Jae-in is promoting national unity in the face of Japan's export curbs that really stab at the heart of the South Korean economy. Speaking to his top aides on Monday, he insisted South Korea has the capacity to overcome such difficulties as it has done many times in the past. Shin Se-min with the details.
President Moon Jae-in is calling for a can-do spirit in the face of the export restrictions imposed by Japan. It's a challenge, he says, that the Korean people can overcome.
평등하고 호혜적인 무역을 지속해 나가기 위해선 산업의 경쟁력의 확보가 필수적이라는 것을 우리는 다시 한번 인식하게 되었습니다.
In a weekly meeting with his top aides, the president said Korea has successfully overtaken its neighbor Japan in a number of fields, such as home appliances, electronics, semiconductors, and shipbuilding. President Moon said the challenges from Japan's retaliatory trade measures could actually become an opportunity.
정부는 지금의 어려움을 오히려 기회로 삼아 부품 소재 산업의 경쟁력 강화와 제조업 혁신을 위해 국가적 차원의 모든 지원을 아끼지 않겠습니다.
He urged the government, conglomerates, and smaller companies to form an emergency support and cooperation system that strengthens the competitiveness of related sectors. Innovation, he said, especially in components and materials production, will be an important solution in a situation where one country's monopolistic control of technology has undermined free trade and put pressure on the economy of another. The president added that his government is prepping thoroughly for both fundamental and short-term measures, along with efforts for a diplomatic solution. Also turning to Korean people ahead of the vacation season, the president said the people can help boost the economy by choosing to spend their holiday locally. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, President Moon will hold a luncheon at the Blue House in a couple of hours with the ruling Democratic Party of Korea, including its floor leader, Ian Young. He's expected to ask for the party's support in overcoming the current economic difficulties stemming from the trade dispute with Japan. This comes as the government is pushing to expand the pending multi-billion-dollar supplementary budget bill, mainly to enhance local firms' competitiveness in semiconductors and high-tech materials. However, strong pushback from the main opposition Liberty Korea Party means it's unclear if the bill will be approved before the end of July. And South Korea is temporarily permitting a special extended working hour scheme outside the 52-hour maximum work week for local firms affected by Japan's trade curbs, describing Tokyo's measures as a social disaster. The Minister of Labour, Lee Jae-gap, said Monday that the new policy will be in place for a maximum of 3 months. He said the move will enable South Korean firms to focus on R&D to reduce their dependence on Japan for tech-related items. The International Atomic Energy Agency has revealed its Director General, Yukiya Amano, died last Thursday. He was 72. With his background in nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation, the Japanese diplomat had been heading the agency since 2009. He was preparing to step down in March of next year due to his deteriorating health. While nothing has been decided about the next head of the agency, flags at the IAEA's headquarters in Vienna have been lowered to half-mast. Now, a new report shows South Koreans born in 2017 are expected to live for more than 82 years on average. That's an improvement from the previous year and is actually an all-time high ever for the country. Hyo-seong reports.
According to the OECD's health statistics, South Koreans' life expectancy at birth averaged 82.7 years in 2017, slightly up from the previous year's 82.4 years. That's 2 years longer than the OECD average of 80.7. The suicide rate for the country has also been on the decline. It decreased from 29.1 people per 100,000 in 2012 to 24.6 per 100,000 in 2016. But it is still well above the OECD average of 11.7. The report also said that South Korea had just 2.3 physicians per 1,000 people, the lowest number in the OECD. The OECD average was 3.4, with Austria topping the list at 5.2 physicians per 1,000 people. But South Korea has more medical equipment with higher numbers of MRI and CT machines than the OECD average. The chances of dying from cancer stood at 165.2 people per 100,000 in 2016. That's well below some other developed countries such as Germany, the US, and Japan. The number of deaths from dementia was 12.3 people per 100,000 in 2016, far lower than the OECD average of 24.3. However, South Korea had the lowest number of people that answered positively to the OECD survey question asking them if they feel they are healthy. Hyo-seong, Arirang News.
The head of the Korea Communications Commission has announced that he is stepping down from his post. At a press briefing on Monday, Hyo-seong said he delivered his resignation letter to President Moon Jae-in in the hope it provided the administration with a boost. His announcement comes ahead of what's expected to be a major cabinet reshuffle. He was appointed KCC chief in August 2017 for what should have been a 3-year term. The Trump administration will speed up the deportation process of undocumented immigrants in the United States with a new rule that will be published on Tuesday local time. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Hong News to tell us more about this rule.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security's new rule will apply expedited removal to any illegal crossers who cannot prove they have been in the country for 2 years or more. The rule currently only applies for people apprehended along the southern border with Mexico or at a port of entry who cannot prove they have been in the U.S. for more than 14 days. But the new rule would apply to those arrested anywhere in the U.S. who have not been in the country for more than 2 years. The apprehended people will not be reviewed by an immigration judge if they aren't recognized as asylum seekers. The Trump administration expects the speedy deportation process to resolve a huge backlog in immigration courts and free up detention space. But the new rule is coming under intense criticism. The American Civil Liberties Union, a non-profit organization that has fought against numerous Trump immigration policies, has vowed to sue. Human Rights Watch warned the change makes people living in U.S. communities subject to an opaque deportation process with limited judicial review. It has emerged Chinese tech giant Huawei may have secretly helped North Korea build a 3G wireless network. Citing related sources, the Washington Post reports Huawei helped the regime establish and maintain a 3G wireless network for over 8 years. It also explained that internal documents leaked by former employees show Huawei teamed up with Chinese state-run Panda International Information Technology to provide networking equipment and related software. Such revelations, if confirmed, will be just the latest blow to Huawei's reputation. Asked about the issue at the White House on Monday, President Trump said the U.S. will look into it. The United States has sanctioned Zhu Haizhenrong, one of China's largest state-backed oil companies, for allegedly violating restrictions on Iran's oil sector. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Monday that the company will be banned from engaging in foreign exchange, banking, or property transaction under U.S. jurisdiction. The Trump administration has sought to pressure Tehran's economy by forcing Iran's oil exports to zero ever since it withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal early last year. Reacting to the news, China's embassy in Washington said it opposes the U.S. sanctions and the so-called long-arm jurisdiction on China. The wreckage of the French submarine Minerve, which sank more than 50 years ago with 52 crew members on board, has finally been found. According to a statement by the French defense minister, the discovery was made possible using recent technological advances in underwater exploration, including the use of new sonars and research drones. The French Navy says the wreckage will stay where it is, some 45 kilometers off the southern coast of France, to serve as the sailors' final resting place.
Time now for our Life and Info segment, where we focus on information useful for your everyday life. Now, Korea's health authorities have issued a nationwide alert over the risk of Japanese encephalitis. The warning comes after the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found the virus carrying the disease in more than 1,000 mosquitoes per day, or more than 70% of the mosquito samples it collected in Gyeongsangnam-do province. However, no cases of Japanese encephalitis have been reported so far this year. Health authorities, though, are advising people to get vaccinated, and children under the age of 12 can get vaccinations for free at public health centres. Now, many of us choose to head to the beach in the summer, and knowing the risks can ensure you stay safe while you have a bit of a splash around and sun yourself. Beachgoers, though, are advised to be aware of rip currents, which are especially dangerous to swimmers. Park Se-young with more.
Rip currents are powerful channels of water flowing away from the shore at a fast pace, and they can occur at any beach with breaking waves. Swimmers that are caught in rip currents can get pulled away from the shore at speeds of up to 1.6 meters per second, which is faster than an Olympic swimmer and far too fast for swimmers to make it back safely to the beach. In the U.S., about 100 people drown in rip currents every year. Lifeguards rescue another 30,000 swimmers a year from the deadly currents. Rip currents pose a threat in Korea as well. In 2010, 3 deaths at Daecheon Beach in Chungcheongnam-do province were attributed to rip currents. At Hyundai Beach in Busan, hundreds of people have been rescued after being pulled away by the powerful currents. Since 2011, the Korea Hydrographic and Oceanographic Agency has been running real-time rip current detection systems at 7 beaches across the country. They first started with Hyundai Beach and are now running the system in Songjang and Imlang beaches in Busan, Daecheon Beach in Chungcheongnam Province, Jungmun Sekdal Beach on Jeju Island, and Gyeongpo and Naksan beaches in Gangwon-do Province. Rip current forecasts are divided into 4 warning levels: notice, watch, warning, and danger. Warnings are posted on Korea's weather agency website, so swimmers should check this information before heading to the beach. If you do get caught in a rip, stay calm and yell for help. Instead of exhausting yourself by trying to swim against the current, stay afloat while waiting for help. Swimming parallel to the shore towards breaking waves can help swimmers escape from the rip current. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, pay attention to this next story if you are an owner of a Hyundai or a Kia and live here in South Korea, because the South Korean automakers are offering summer inspection services for their vehicles absolutely free of charge. From July 24th to the 26th, the service will be offered at service centers and official service networks nationwide. Now, this inspection covers engines, coolant and oil leakage, tire pressure, brake pads, lighting, all those kind of things to hopefully prevent accidents while people are enjoying the summer vacation. These free inspection coupons, you have to download them. You can do so by going to Hyundai's My Car Story app or the Kia Vic app.
Good morning. Yesterday was Jungbok, the middle of the hottest part of summer, and today's Daeseo, which literally means big heat. But considering it's the hottest time of the year, I gotta say the heat has been bearable so far this summer. However, a heat wave advisory has been expanded to more areas, as most parts of the country will see temperatures nearing 33 degrees Celsius this afternoon. In Seoul, will get up to 32 degrees. Chuncheon, Daegu, Daejeon, Gwangju will all get up to 33 degrees Celsius this afternoon. But cloudy skies should block the sunshine for most of the day. Very humid and warm southwesterly winds could bring passing showers, and when it does rain, the downpours could be heavy, so have an umbrella handy. A monsoon front will bring heavy rain to the central region on Thursday, and do expect to see on and off monsoon rains through Saturday, and that will give us some relief from the heat. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all the news and weather we have for now on this Tuesday morning here in Seoul. Stay tuned to Arirang TV. Plenty more coming up, including our next newscast. That's at noon Korea time in around an hour and a half from now. So until then, goodbye.